The problem is that I have a problem. Problems are when I have no problems. Problem is that I have a problem and I don't know what to do about it.
Well, what can you do, please tell me? What can you do, please tell me? What can you do, please tell me?
I have such a problem. The problem is a problem if I make it one. The problem is a problem if I make it one.
Some time ago, I wondered what the problem is, but I don't know. And therefore I experience something that you may consider flaw. That you may consider flaw.
Problem is that I have a problem. Show the middle finger to your problem and say fuck you please.
I need some happiness. I'm living in the treadmill and I don't know how to stop.
I'm living in a treadmill and I don't know how to stop.
Well, how much fuel have you got left? Enough it seems. It seems enough, but is it really?
I am looking forward to producing my own music. Yesterday when I was on the park, which I will recreate today because I feel I have a lot of energy, and staying inside makes me depressed. Doing nothing makes me depressed. Sitting around doing nothing also makes me depressed. So what do? I do something. And I had the feeling I wanted to talk about spiritual advice from a barbarian lunatic. I know in a way I've done so already, but I think it is a good timing to do so. If you have the feeling you know already what I'm saying here, I mean, you may always leave. But somehow I wanted to say something about spiritual advice from a barbarian lunatic. And I already have mentioned it, like why it came into existence. Which is because I realized that, you know, somebody commented on one of my videos and she said, I actually know her, but in a way it doesn't really matter, but maybe it does. And I just did a random video and I was singing about some stuff, not even particularly good. I just did stuff. I think it's called Autumn Leaves or something. And she said, wow, that's deep. And that made me realize, yeah, it's actually deep. You know, the stuff I'm talking about is it's deep shit, right? And why is it deep shit? Because we are deep shit, like knee deep in shit. No, we're actually up to our necks, like neck deep in shit. And we are suffocating in shit. And I just happen to be a person that spends his days looking at the shit. And therefore, when you say it's deep, yes, it's deep because I took the time to look deep into myself and I looked deep into what drives people, where emotions come from. I look deep into these topics. And then you can say it's deep talk what I'm doing. And therefore, maybe it's also understandable that people don't really understand what I'm doing here because most people don't do that. There's not a lot of people who go as deep as I have gone. But also some people, they lose themselves in these depths. You know, they keep using the things because they think it helps them understand or something. And right, I have this friend and he keeps watching porn because he thinks, you know, there's something he's missing. No, the only thing you're missing is energy which you waste on porn. So there always has to be a bigger understanding, because if you just keep using the methods that don't help you, and that's why for me, in a way, yes, coffee maybe helps me, but actually I don't really need it anymore. Because already without drinking it, I have more than enough energy. I just have to. But that's a method I've been using for a while now. And I think I'm about to let go of it. But I'm not there quite yet. So I also just give it time so I can adjust to this new feeling of, holy shit, I actually think I don't need it anymore, because until now I was also drinking coffee because I had the feeling that I wouldn't need it to do what I want to do. I actually don't, because as soon as I start doing stuff, I feel like this. And something I have discovered is also singing. Sometimes I feel like I'm constantly trapped in these kind of thoughts like, God, what should I do, you know, and then I'm trying to bore into a problem and trying to solve it by like focusing on it. But then your mind is more focused on the problem than on the solution, and what you can do then is to sing. And that's actually something I got from Terence McKenna, because he said if you're having a bad trip and you feel like, you know, you're about to lose it, just sing. Because that changes something. Hello, what is? You know, you can just talk like that. You can just start letting out the energy. Because that's also a form of expression. Something's bothering you right now, and then you start, why am I doing this? So you can just sing your stuff out. And it's a different form of transformation. And I sometimes do that, and suddenly I feel alive again. Suddenly, you know, sometimes I go into the bathroom and I just feel like singing, and then I just start singing, and I have the feeling the more I do this, you know, I really want to make my own music, and I know I will. But this also takes time, because right now I'm more focused on this, and singing will be I'm just gonna drink it. I'm actually reluctant to drink it. You could say it's a good sign. Maybe I just have to keep doing it until I'm so disgusted of drinking coffee. I actually don't want this in my body right now, and that's a new one. That's actually a new one. And I don't know where that's coming from. You know, somehow something happened yesterday. And it may be because the habit of really drinking coffee like this, I picked up in Amsterdam. And something happened yesterday with Amsterdam. And I let go of something. Of some kind of primordial fear or whatever. And suddenly I wake up and I feel like, why am I still drinking coffee? But I just have the feeling I need to continue for a bit. And that's just self-manipulation right there. It's like telling yourself, well, actually, you know, you could let go of it, but you don't, you know, because you don't want to. Well, then you can't let go of it. So now I'm telling myself that, you know, actually, you know, if I wanted to, I could now stop. But I don't. So what's the point of saying it if you don't do it? It's like yesterday I picked up a conversation with a couple, and the girlfriend was, you know, bickering about her boyfriend because she couldn't accept that he's smoking. So she said, well, you always say you want to stop smoking or that you're going to, but every time we have a date you smoke anyway. And then he says, yeah, well, it's not that easy. And then she says, yeah, well, you're just full of shit. You're just lying about it. And then he says, well, that's not a nice thing to say, that I'm lying about it. And, you know, if you have a problem with me smoking, then you should just say that. And then she said, no, I don't have a problem that you're smoking. I just don't like your bullshit. You know, he could have responded, well, I don't like your bullshit either. Because what she's clearly trying to do is she's trying to force him to stop smoking because she doesn't accept that he's a smoker. Right now, and she cannot force him to stop smoking. So she acts like, you know, that what annoys her is that he doesn't stop smoking, but she's the one pressuring him. And that doesn't work like this. And women often try that. They try to manipulate the man to be like the man that they want to have. Because then, you know, if it would reflect better on them to have a man that's like they want the man to be. But the man is a reflection of themselves and they don't like that. So they want the man to be perfect and have a six-pack because then they can say, oh, look at me, right? I have a perfect man. But she's not perfect. Otherwise, she would just let him be like that. Because that's the guy he got into a relationship with. And now she's trying to change him. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And that's this kind of manipulative nature that I dislike about women. But it's just for you to learn to deal with that. Like, women are unhappy with their man. Wrong. They're unhappy themselves. They just project it onto their man. So instead of changing themselves, they change their man. And the man allows it. Because he is happy that a woman likes him. It shouldn't be like that. Right, now, of course, you can't always draw things and then you can say, okay, what's going to come out of this? Because I don't know. And so it's also about you to make sure that you're not just being manipulated because you're needy, right? Because this is actually, right? I mean, this is how your woman can be like an evil bitch. But only if you let her be. You have to set boundaries. It's the same with men. If you allow a man to rule over you all the time, then what do? You set boundaries. You have to show that you're a man, but not by being violent. No. You just say, get off my back. I will stop smoking when I want to stop smoking if you don't like that, you know. Sorry, but that's how you met me. You cannot expect me to change from one day to another just because you want me to. And that's just a fact, right? I mean, what's your deal? Like, do you like me? Or do you only like me when I'm the way you want me to be? And that's just what I think about women always trying to change their man. It's not. Your job to change your man, it's your job to love him. And then to make him realize also, you don't have to smoke. You don't have to smoke. But, he has to realize that himself. You can't force him. So why did you choose him in the first place? Maybe you didn't want to be alone. And he doesn't want to be alone. So you just have to stick it out with each other. And you actually hate each other. And you would rather like to be with somebody else, but you just don't have the balls to end the relationship. And then you can be miserable together. Well, awesome, why not get married and have children, and then, you can let it out on them too. You just feel miserable. But let's say now you're already married. And you have children. Well, then what do? You have to find a solution, don't you? Because now it's already there. You've created this situation together, didn't you? So what's the point of feeling miserable about it now? Because now, it's already obvious. This is how it is now. So just make the best out of it. And just learn to be happy with each other. Or you just get a divorce. But then, be conscious about it. But, love is something that you can fight for. Don't try to fight it. Just love each other. And, I've just listened to one of my other videos and I realized, a lot of couples, they just have a lot of friends, and they constantly meet other people. Well, why do they do that? Because maybe they always have fights when they're on their own. So maybe it should be something where you say, instead of constantly meeting other people, we are now going to fix our marriage, our relationship by spending time with each other and with our children. And being okay with it. Because otherwise you just have the feeling you have to be now together. You have the feeling, shit, now you have to stick it out. Now you have to live like this for the rest of your life. No, only if you choose to. You can live like this. But you can also just love each other. Because you did love each other once, right? So you can love each other again. But that also means you have to see the person that you are together with as the person that they actually are and not how you want them to be. And then you realize actually underneath all that shit that somebody's carrying, there's this beautiful man or this beautiful woman, and that man or woman has nothing to do with your expectations. It's just who they are, and that's always beautiful. But they just piled on a lot of shit and they never learned to let go of that. But I'm sure they can transform it if you just learn to love them and you learn to love yourself. That's even more important. In a relationship, love each other, but also love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, it's really hard to love anybody else. And that's, I think, the point, love yourself and love each other. And for that, you just have to live a more mindful life. You just have to be more mindful. How do you treat yourself? How do you treat others? Maybe do I play too many computer games? Because that's surely, why do I play computer games? Because it's an escape. You're fleeing into reality that doesn't exist. you're running off into some kind of fantasy because you don't like the way that your real life looks like. Well, you can make your real life into the fantasy that you actually want to live. Well, you won't live on Pandora, but you will realize that you've been living there all along already. Like everything that you think you may get on this remote planet or in that game that you're playing, you know, you can have it in real life. You don't need virtual reality to feel happy. No, you don't need that at all, because everything you need is already right there. But you have to open up to it, and that's painful, and that takes time, and that takes determination, and that takes devotion, and that takes courage, most of all. The courage to open your heart, because it's fucking scary. It's really scary. And when I say, for example, I go into the city and I talk openly, what happens? Somehow I felt like I was opening my heart because fear left and love came in. Love for who? Love for myself. Love for me. Because that's what I did, you know, I opened up to myself standing in public and speaking truth. So I need to open up for myself. I need to do that. And that's sometimes when you speak just how you feel, your emotions. But then of course your partner just has to listen to it and not take it personal or feel ashamed or whatever. It's just about opening up to each other, because now you're already a couple. I'm in the position, I'm on my own right now. So I talk to the camera. You can talk to another person, but often, as soon as you try saying anything to the other person, what happens? Well, exactly. The person takes it personal and starts attacking you for it. Because now they want to defend themselves. Well, that's kind of shit, isn't it? Because that means you can never speak your mind. Because otherwise the other person is just going to attack you. Because no, it's not about you now. It's about me. And so what you can do is you take a chair and you take another chair. It's even better if you do it with a third person, actually. But that person has to be unbiased, of course. So you have two chairs, and you sit down on each other. And of course you can also do it in this way. Because sometimes it's better to not say it directly to your partner, but you have a chair and you have another chair. And then you have a third chair. And now the person who gets to speak his or her mind sits on this chair, and opposite the chair is empty. I mean, you can put a pillow there or something. And your partner is sitting on the third chair and you're not looking at your partner. So you're looking at the chair that is empty, and then you're going to say, I feel like my needs are not being met. I am unhappy because I don't have enough time, maybe, to do the things that I want to do. And your partner is not allowed to say anything. She's not, or he's not, allowed to comment on what you're saying. And then you get like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and it doesn't matter. You can shout, you can cry, you can curse, you can say whatever you want. But you know, try not to attack her outright. You know, just keep it general and always keep it about you. I feel like this. I have the feeling that. And then, you know, your partner is like a third person, but she's also hearing how you feel towards her in a way, or towards him. And when that's done, then you switch places, and then your partner talks to the empty chair, and now you have to listen. And it's just learning to listen and just say nothing. Because already when your partner is allowed to say that, and you don't criticize him or her for it, They feel heard. Often the problems we have in a relationship is that we feel like we're not being seen, and often it's exactly the case, we're not being seen. But it has to start with someone, right? You have to be the person in charge then, and you have to say, okay, I have to be a bit smart about this. I want to be seen, and my partner isn't seeing me. So if I want to be seen, I have to see my partner first. I have to see them with all their troubles and all their problems. And maybe that's going to solve some problem, because once you start listening to him or her more, they will start opening up to you. Because suddenly, you're paying attention to them. And that's often what's missing. We're so sucked in by all these smartphones and things that want our attention, because they're making money with it. The love is missing. We don't give attention to the things anymore that actually could love us. So we just give attention, and that includes myself, of course. Like, you have to pay attention to yourself, because it's your job to love yourself and love others. So you just continue to do these things, and then maybe, just maybe, something will come out of it. And it will be hard. Hearing your partner, even if he's saying it to the empty chair, or she's saying it, you're still hearing it. And it's incredibly hard to say nothing to that. And it's incredibly hard to hear these things, especially. So it takes a lot of practice and patience. And that's, for example, why that situation in Amsterdam developed. It was just two men, but he didn't allow me to speak my mind. It was just about him. And that's why I said, I'm going to talk now. And if you're going to say anything against it, I'm just going to leave. And he didn't manage. So he started criticizing what I said, and I just left. And in the end he threw me out. So I wasn't willing to take his shit anymore. And maybe he wasn't willing to take mine anymore. But that's why our friendship was dishonest. Because if you cannot listen to your partner saying you how he or she feels, well, then you're just selfish. Because sometimes your partner needs to just say what he or she wants, or even if it's a friend, without you attacking him or her for it. So if you cannot do that, well, then what? Well, you have to realize that you live in a fantasy where you think you do everything right and you're the perfect being, but everybody else is full of shit. So you actually never listen to other people when they say something to you. It's that friend that contacted me a while ago. And when I told him that he's a fucking leech and that he contacts me, so what does he want from me? Because I didn't contact him. He denied it. He didn't even know what he was doing. Like, he wanted to be the person, he's so awesome that I came back to him, but actually I didn't. He came back to me. But he was fighting the reality that I don't need him in my life.